What is podcast interview marketing? Well, the best explanation I ever heard came from one of our clients. He said, it's just like Preparation H. At first, I was insulted, but he said, no, it's a compliment. It provides relief fast. It's recommended. It took away the pain in my rear end. And isn't that what you're really trying to do? I mean, maybe you're not hitting your sales goals. Maybe you're an author, a speaker, a coach, a consultant, a brand, and you just have too few leads. Maybe they're bad leads. And because of that, you're taking the wrong customers, customers that aren't paying enough and aren't profitable. Maybe you're so busy, you don't have time to market. Marketing sounds like another chore. Maybe you're overwhelmed. You've been told you need to do this, you need to do that. You're burned out by all the silver bullets, and you've come to realize there's no silver bullet in marketing. Maybe you've tried podcast interviews and you're like, I don't get it. Everybody's talking about this great results they get going out on digital stages, and I haven't seen it. Well, it's not you. It's probably your system. Next, maybe you're just great at what you do. And I'm sure that with your current product or service, there are thousands or tens of thousands, maybe millions of people you could help right now. They'd gladly pay you money for it. It's only one problem. They don't know who you are. And we're going to work on changing that. But one thing you're going to see is a lot of people saying, you need another tactic. They're going to say, you need another hack. You need this. You need to buy this new thing. You need to buy a new software. That's what it's going to be. Well, if you get nothing from our call, I hope you'll find out that hacks are for hacks. I believe what you need is a strategy and a proven process. You see, a lot of people are out there and they're going to tell you, you are one funnel away. Great marketing, I think, is a big lie. To me, you're one conversation away. The best things that I have gotten in life have come through conversations. People don't buy high-end items without knowing, liking, and trusting the people that they're buying from. If you're doing a service, a product, a relationship where you're investing significant time and money into it, it's not going to come through a funnel. One person once said, it was Bill Troy from the book Clicksand, Why Digital Marketing is Ruining Your Business. He said, big fish don't swim through funnels and whales don't click. No, you've got to talk with them. Now, everything I'm going to talk about in podcast interview marketing is not just my opinion. This is what we have learned since 2015 with over 500 clients talking on over 20,000 podcasts to over 50 million people. We wrote it up in a book called Podcast Guest Profits, How to Grow Your Business with the Targeted Interview Strategy. One of the top marketing podcasts, Christopher Lochhead, he called it the Bible of podcast guesting. This is the strategy. This is the book, the playbook that we use at Interview Valet. It's not a trick. It's not a secret. It's not magic. No, it's a system. It's a process. We just do it with excellence. It's all our team now of over 18 people do each and every day. So this all starts with a foundation of the strategy and the training. So when you work with us, and we'll talk a little bit about this during our call, we're going to focus on the strategy first. So who do you want to talk to? Who are your ideal customers? What do you want them to do after they hear you? How are we going to make them progress from being a passive listener to an active visitor to an engaged lead? What kinds of things can you offer them? How do you want to introduce yourself to the podcaster so that it builds up your authority? All of these big strategy pictures that are so important in any kind of marketing you're doing, any kind of sales that you're doing. We're also going to do training. We're going to give you the professional equipment so that you sound great. We're going to show you how to do it. We're going to give you a checklist for every interview on what to do before and after. We're going to prepare you for every interview. I had a boss in the Navy that says, only kids and clowns like surprises. Which one do you take me for? Well, I'll tell you what, none of our customers go into podcasts unprepared. So that's the foundation. And we want to make sure that you're very, very comfortable before you go on your first interview. We do a practice interview just to make sure you're comfortable with the notifications, with the best practices. But then after that, it's really just a process, a system that goes around and around, gets better and better, like a flywheel that picks up more energy and you get more results. It all starts out with the prospecting, finding the right podcasts. Not every podcast is great, and bigger is not better. Our algorithm really looks at 4 things: the podcast itself, the website, which is important for backlinks, the reach, how many people are going to find out about it, and that's download, social media, email. And then the last thing, the 4th thing is it consistent with the guest brand? So we'll take those shows and then we start introducing them to the host. And I hate the word pitching. You pitch a baseball, you introduce a human being. And that's really what we do. We've got relationships with over 3,500 top podcasters in business, faith and Christianity, health, nutrition, and wellness. We're introducing our clients so that the host says, yes, I would love to have them. Next is the preparation. You want to make sure that before you go on stage in front of thousands of people, that the host knows who you are and you know who the audience is. You want to make sure that this is the opportunity for you to shine. And we help every one of our clients with this. So you don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours preparing for a show. You get a brief sheet that's given to you and it's on the online portal so that you can look at it in 5 or 10 minutes, be ready for a show. The next thing is the performance. This is the only thing you can't outsource, but we will give you the best tactics, the best practices in order to make the most of your podcast interview. And one of those is progression. What do you do to move people from being a passive listener to an active visitor to an engaged lead? We'll help you with that. We'll help setting up those welcome pages to drive people to engage them and to capture their information. We'll also work with you to make the most out of these podcasts. You know, every podcast interview is rich content. You can make blogs out of it. You can make social media posts. You can make videos. Heck, you can get a month's worth of content from a single podcast interview. And I don't know if you're like me, but I've written a whole lot of blogs in my life. They all felt like homework. To me, talking on a podcast, answering questions, that's just fun. Let me do the fun part. Let somebody else do all the repurposing. Next, perfection. In this loop, we always have feedback. We're getting feedback from the host. We're getting feedback from the client. We're giving you feedback when we listen to it because we want to make sure that every time there's a new podcast interview, it's better and more effective. So what can you expect from being on a podcast? Well, increased authority, right? The more times you're out there in Google, you're going to be found. People will see you. It's not just what you say about yourself, but when I Google you, it's showing up all these places. You're seen as an authority. We had one client that said, I am just doing this. He's a consultant. He had clients and he was filled already. But he said, the more time people see me, the more I can raise my prices. You're going to have increased social media followers. As the podcast host talks about you and mentions you, people will start following you. You're going to get better ranking on organic traffic. You see, when somebody puts in your name or a keyword or your company, all of those podcasts that linked back to your site are telling the search engines, this is a site that you want to rank higher. You're going to have that rich content to repurpose. We talked about that, making blogs out of it, making videos, making social media posts. And that's all things that you don't have to take your time to do. Now, ultimately, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And that's why podcast interview marketing makes sense. You see, When people hear you, they're going to turn you up or turn you down. If you have talked to them and they've listened to you for 30 or 45 minutes, they're going to come as a hot lead. And that's the reason why our studies show that podcast interviews convert 25 times better than blogs. They're coming, and they're coming as hot leads. They're also ideal customers because you've already told them who you work with, who you don't. They've self-selected. They're ready. They know everything about you. And the studies show that they close much faster. Finally, exposure brings opportunity. It's amazing over the last 500 or so clients, the stories that we've gotten. People found sponsors, they found strategic partners, they got invited to do live events, keynote speeches, they got invited to be contributors to major magazines. Exposure brings opportunity, and you never know who's going to be listening to that podcast. Now, our mission here is to personally introduce inspiring thought leaders to millions of people they could serve for the betterment of all. Regardless of this call, I hope you get amazing value out of it. And if at the end we're like, we know that we could work with you, we could bring you value, we may invite you. We bring on a limited number of people each month to work with. And if you're one of those inspiring thought leaders, we would love to work with you. So check down below. The next video talks about, does it work? How can we predict results with this? I look forward to either seeing you on the call or one of our staff seeing you on the call. What's ordinary to you is amazing to others. You could help so many people right now. They could buy your product, your service. It's perfect for them. It's only one problem. They don't know you exist. Let's get you on some targeted podcast interviews and solve their problem and solve your problem.